I fully reworked the multi-thread extension. So previously this was only available in version 5.1 to 5.3. Now it is available in many more versions, up to the latest current one, which is 5.7. Previously we had these two nodes and they worked, but they had a few issues, and if you weren't careful enough, then they could cause a crash. So I completely reworked that aspect. If you updated this plugin and had used the node before, it will now show you a deprecation warning and you need to replace it. So what is the new method of doing this? First of all, I created this cool little thing. You can create a blueprint and search for thread, and there will be a blueprint thread worker. And if you create this, you can call this however you want. I will call this banana. And the cool thing about this is like a controlled environment where you can't use nodes that would crash if you use them in another thread. So for example, you don't have a delay node here, or you actually do, but you can't use it because you don't have the world context object here. So how do you create the logic here? You can just go and override the onExecute function, and here you can do your heavy task. For example, I will create a variable which is of type bool, and I will set it to instance editable and expose on spawn. I will also create an integer, and with this integer I would just want this to loop this, and I want to loop this indefinitely. Okay, so we have an infinite loop, and let's do this like that. And if this is true, we only want to do this. Okay, so we have this infinite loop here, so I will show you what happens if you have something like this. This is like now our heavy task. Okay, and you can call this new thing you just created by going into any other blueprint, and you want to construct object from class. Okay, and here you can select the banana class we just created, and you will see, because we set it to be instance editable and expose on spawn, it will show up here. So we can, for example, set this to true, and then we can call run thread worker, and this will have two weird inputs. If you just call run thread worker like this, you will only have one input, which is what we want. Okay, and here you will have unfinished. So let's see what happens if you run the infinite loop, and you will see this took 0.242 seconds for a million loops, because this didn't crash, because Unreal Engine has a system in place to prevent infinite loops from crashing your game. And I think this limit is set to be set to 1 million, and you can actually change this limit. Maximum loop, not in the editor preferences, but in the project settings, and you have this maximum loop iteration count, and this is set to this number. And if we were to cast to the banana blueprint here, make sure to connect the unfinished and not the execute output here, and we get the, how did we call this, new var we created. You can see this actually looped 1 million times, or the limit number of times set here. So this loops 999,000 times. If you want more loops, you can increase that limit. But I think most of you don't really have 1 million loops in their game. But this just shows how good the system is. If we were to run this on our normal thread, it would cause massive lags. And with the system, you can just have your own input variables, have your own like output variables by using the cast node, and just having a environment here where you can freely code your stuff without the fear of crashing the engine. But there are like limitations, like you can't spawn an actor here. There's no spawn actor from class node here, for example, because that would cause a crash in another thread. So that's about it. If you like this plugin, then make sure to leave a rating, and I hope you enjoyed this tool. Goodbye.